Hi guys, it's Sandra here from Createinspain. This is just for me a bit of fun. So this is a very short story called Village Life. Harriet and Tom, Tom and Harriet. Seldom is one mentioned without the other. The picture of married harmony held up by the residents of Florence Lane as a shining example to all and sundry. Tom works hard at the local bank, tending diligently to his precious garden in his spare time. And Harriet, well, Harriet is the local domestic goddess, queen of the Women's Institute, and creator of prize-winning pickles, jams, and confectionery. So all is as it should be in the little hamlet of Cherbury. Today is just an ordinary Saturday. Things are quiet and peaceful. The sun shines gently on sloping tiled roofs and well-tended grass. But there is a nip in the air. A frost is expected tonight. It is January after all, and only to be expected. But for now at least, the day is bright with promise, and the residents potter around doing what they always do, as indeed they should. The cottage that Tom and Harriet live in would be described as idyllic, small enough to be a cottage but large enough to be comfortable, light and airy. A short path leads up through the lawn to a shiny red door with a shinier brass knocker. Doorbells are not to be seen in Florence Lane. It's not that sort of place. It's a little bit too, well, upper crust. To the rear of the cottage, accessed by a door from the kitchen and a set of stone steps, viewed through the large picture window, is a long, fairly large garden. It's obviously well loved with mature shrubs, trees and immaculate borders. If weeds dare to grow, they are soon uprooted and disposed of on the tidy compost heap which hides behind trellis at the bottom of the garden. Also at the bottom of the garden is a large potting shed. Its contents are stacked, shelved, or hung with precision. No lack of order here either. Tools are clean and oiled. Cans all have labels and lids on. The garden furniture is covered to keep the spiders away. Tom is obviously a neat gardener. Some of the work in the garden is, however, done by the lady of the house. No one but Harriet touches her roses. There are not many rose bushes in the garden, but each one is tended by her own fair hand, and they do well under her care. Being a creature of habit, Tom has taken a stroll to the local shop to buy his newspaper of choice, always the same one. Harriet has just come inside to the kitchen and is busy measuring out flour and sugar for a Sunday tea-time treat, a ritual of theirs. This week it is a lemon slice with a topping of tangy lemon icing, a tray bake she could make in her sleep. So it's not surprising that her mind is wandering, thoughts coming unbidden as she works. She's thinking about her New Year resolution, one that keeps to herself. Her own private secret. Harriet is planning big changes. That extra stone around her midriff is going to go for a start. A few other things are going to go too. Tom is walking back to the cottage, his paper tucked under his arm, and he too is thinking private thoughts. Not one person in Cherbury is likely to guess what he's thinking, as his thoughts are not of the chores he has to do or even work. No, Tom is plotting to murder his wife. He's unsure if her untidiness has driven him to murder, or whether it's the new teller with the big blue eyes, luscious curves and other attributes, but his mind is not its usual self at all. All he knows is that he must get rid of Harriet this weekend, without getting caught. That is most important. Everything must look normal. Tom is going to find it hard to act normally today. He walks up the path to the front door and opens it with the key on his Volvo fob. He can smell baking in the hallway, and although he's happy to eat the results of her labours, he dreads seeing the mess that she's made of the kitchen. Tom looks down at his ever-growing paunch, and decides that that too will have to go. Mandy in the office is unlikely to want a fat lover for very long. It's dark by the time Tom comes in from the garden. He's done all the jobs that he had to do, plus an extra one. He can barely hide his excitement, but hide it he must. Harriet and he are going to dinner with old friends, and he must appear to be his usual staid self. It wouldn't do to be too chirpy, but he knows he must be as loving towards Harriet as normal. The plan that Tom has also depends on Harriet behaving normally. It is her custom to rise earlier than her husband on the weekend. She dons her Wellington boots and drifts out into the garden with her first cup of coffee of the day, just surveying the plants and checking that all is well. This means that she has to negotiate the stone steps, which this particular Sunday morning will be icy and therefore slippery. Tom has made sure that her boots are a little muddy on the bottom. He has also tied a thin plastic line between the stone pillars of the steps halfway down. Just as forecast, there is a sharp frost on this Sunday morning. A small figure in dressing gown and Wellington boots lies at the foot of the steps in Tom and Harriet's garden. A smashed coffee mug lies a few feet away, the contents frozen in a splash on the path. Harriet lies face to one side, her broken neck at an odd angle. Her husband appears to be untying something. He walks over to her body, bends over, and pushes the hair back from her glazed eyes. It is now late afternoon. The ambulance has come and gone, along with the police. They were most sympathetic towards Tom. It was, after all, a terrible accident. She slipped on the steps. It was quick. She couldn't have suffered too much. It is now late evening. Tom is slumped in the kitchen chair, his teacup spilling cold tea over the tablecloth. His face is twisted in agony and its eyes are lifeless. No one has found him yet. A small plate next to the overturned cup has a few crumbs on it, and a few inches away is an open tin of freshly baked lemon slices. Good strong flavour is lemon, can hide all sorts of things. Tom was a very neat and tidy person, but there were things left in that shed that should never have been, and should have been thrown out years ago. Didn't someone once say that the dead can't hurt you? I wouldn't be too sure about that if I were you. Okay, that's my short story. I hope you enjoyed it, gave you a little smile. Take care now. Bye-bye.